Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube. With the voice, Milt Thompson. Delivering the best of sports programming. Interviews with top celebrities. And the answer to the question, where are they now? And now, Milt Thompson, Playing for Keeps.
Hello, I'm Curtis Baker, president of the Broad Ripple High School Alumni Association. Go Rockets! Your host, the voice, Milt Thompson, is on location at Broad Ripple High School for the Coach William R. Smith Sr. IPS Basketball Classic, where he will be having an exclusive interview with two former Shortridge High School basketball greats, Clarence Crane and Indiana Basketball Hall of Famer Oscar Evans. So stay put, because you don't want to miss this special episode of Playing for Keeps. We'll be right back.
Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube. Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube.
Welcome back to Playing for Keeps, and yes, I am your host, the voice, Milt Thompson, right here on WHMB's Channel 40, every Friday night at 9 o'clock. And we're here today with a beautiful tournament in honor of Coach Smith, the Broad Ripple Rocket type of guy, and making all that happen. But we've interloped with other IPS greats, and we have one here, Mr. Blue Devils, what we're going to call him, because we talked about the Continentals, and we talked about the Titans, and we've talked about the Rockets, but the Blue Devils, the Shortridge team, looked good to me. You remember those days?
Oh yeah, that was great.
And there could be no better representative as the other Big O, as we call him, and that's the Oscar Evans. Oscar, welcome to our show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Man, it's a pleasure to see you. You're looking younger, even though we come from a similar era and age.
That's
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it, but you managed to.
Looks can be deceiving. Please,
You had some great teams back in the day with Shortridge. Tell us about those great teams back when Shortridge was an ongoing concern and a big-time high school around here with a diminishing IPS footprint.
Well, actually, it started in 1966. Actually, from 66, I would say 66 was probably, talent-wise, the best team they had over Shortridge. Plus, they didn't have Coach Theophanis.
Right.
And 67 was strong. They were strong in the 50s, too, because Bo Crane, Satterfield and them, they beat Addicts twice. But Addicts beat them in the tournament.
When it matters, right?
Yeah, when it mattered.
Mm-hmm.
So they've had some athletes over there, but like I said, too bad they didn't have Coach Theophanis.
Yeah, that made a difference.
It'd have made a difference. But you can't say enough about IPS back then.
Right.
I mean, every game was like a sectional game, a tournament game. And we had a lot of team support.
Community support.
Yeah, very strong community support. One example, we played Christmas Addicts. It was over the holiday, and we played them at Butler Fieldhouse. We sold it out. I mean, 14,000. Now they remodeled. It's about 9,000, but 14,000 for just a regular season game. So that just lets you know how strong that IPS was, because there was about 6 or 7 teams that could easily have won the state, but you had to knock heads to get out. So
we had a couple other Blue Devils on this show in the past. I think George Pillow was one of them. I think that's who it was, and a couple other Blue Devils. But tell us about some more of the people that you played with and competed with day to day in practice. And Coach Theophanis molded you guys into a champion.
Yeah, well, actually, I started out when I was a sophomore. We played with Mike Gurnell, Mel Johnson, one of the greatest players, unknown players, was Kenny Maxey. He was basically ahead of himself. Bob Stewart, Don Ings, Sam Pride. They were older because they came out in '66, and then we got the '67 team. That was when George came aboard. Damon Ellison, Ed Finch.
Right.
And then, of course, the '68 team with Clarence Crane, Bob Butler, Steve Hedrick, and Gurnell's younger brother. and David Holt. And so we had a really, really good team, of course. Playing and scrimmaging against those guys older than us really catapulted us to where we were in 68, because where I looked at it, we could, you're not going to find any players that are better than that class. So it was really pretty easy. And then with Coach Theophanis, which I think was, he was a brilliant coach.
Right.
Because a lot of games we were supposed to lose. I mean, on paper.
But wouldn't let you lose.
But he was just a genius. I mean, he was a tactician, and he would change plays, defenses, and stuff like that. And they just couldn't make the adjustment. Soon they made adjustment, he made adjustment. It's like he's playing chess, and he was like Bobby Fischer of chess.
Right.
And he was
tactician.
He was unbelievable. So it really was pretty good for us.
Here with the great Blue Devil Oscar.
Yeah,
Evans.
it was really a good experience.
I think that Clarence Crane is still blocking you out.
No. He did. He had his share. You should see Butch Clarence when I was at Butler. We played Notre Dame. They were like ranked 3rd or 5th in the country. Austin Carr.
Right.
And Theo was coaching at Butler, and so the game was tied with 3 minutes to go in the game, and Crane, Butch, we call it Butch, it's Clarence, did a hell of a job defensively. We played, Theo played a boxing one, and Crane just followed Austin. He did get 36 points. But let me tell you this. 12 of his baskets were breakaways because they were so big.
Right,
right. As soon as we would shoot, he would take off. But straight up defense, he might have scored 4 baskets out of the 36 when we played straight up defense, but he would release.
I love these great stories about the fantastic heyday of high school basketball, not only in the state of Indiana, but particularly right here in the heart of the city.
Midwest.
Yeah.
But I want to say one other thing about IPS. Back then, IPS was probably the strongest athletic programs in the whole Midwest. I would put IPS back in the mid-60s, well, back when Oscar in the 50s,
right.
all the way through.
Right.
Because you're not going to find a group of parity in the whole conference.
Right.
I mean, there was just everybody.
Every game's a battle.
Every game, you wasn't no let up. You let up, you got beat.
And it's what we call gangs from the hood, right?
Yeah.
You come over here, you better be able to put it on us.
That's right.
We're going to put it back on you.
See, we also had one other thing that we did. We, in the summer, we played all over the city. I mean, we would play all over the city. And you know, we guys that we like, so from Wood, Manual, Tech, John Marshall, Arlington. So it was real competitive in the summer, so that kind of helped us out.
Even in the summer leagues, you'd go up against some of the pros that would play in the old Dust Bowl and areas around here where there wasn't any difference. It's what I mean. That basket's still up there, and I'm still good enough. I'm gonna put it in it, right?
Yeah, that's it. It didn't make no difference who it was.
Exactly right.
You slip up, you go get beat.
Exactly.
But one thing about it, if you couldn't play, you wasn't on the court.
That's right. That's right.
Cause I can remember starting out. And they were playing on the court, man, and we have our balls, and they run down that way. We run out on the court and shoot. They say, it's not going to happen. Yeah, but it changed. So, you know, it was a lot of hard work, you know, especially like in grade school. I went to public school 41. Just in that area, just on my street, there's 3 guys that went Division I in there. And then 2 streets over, Dana Harrell, he went to Syracuse. He was the first black quarterback at Syracuse, University of Syracuse.
Right.
So we had a lot of Division I players just in that area.
In that hood.
You know, and that's just in that area. So you're not talking about the west side, east side. It's the same thing. And so this was a hotbed for coaches as far as recruiting.
Well, what do you think about this event here, honoring Coach Smith?
I think it's
and bringing
good.
The few IPS schools that are still in existence?
This is really great because IPS really helped a lot of students, the athletes, and I think this is a great thing. And this great Coach Smith was a great man, a good coach, and you know he had that disciplinary about him, which they needed which they need to this day. They need it right now.
Right.
And that's a wonderful thing, man.
Well, the reverence with which all of you great ones speak about your coaches, Coach Theophanis, Coach Green, Coach Smith, ones that have a much more lasting impact than just upon the hardwood.
Exactly. That's it. You hit it on the head.
The impact's about how it is you grow as a young man or young woman, and then begin to achieve, and then to how you pay it back in community. So tell us a little bit about your career outside of basketball henceforth.
Well, I tried to keep playing, but my body just wouldn't let me. And so I started working for Saturn Corporation. Matter of fact, I was on one of the first crews that installed one of the dealerships, which was down in Tampa, Florida. But it was a profitable deal with Saturn, but GM, which was a subsidiary of Saturn, they put it together. For some reason, they felt that they didn't want Saturn, just like they didn't want Pontiac. And these were viable. They're not a minus, they're a plus. So they ended up shutting it down. And of course, while I was down there, I worked with the POW Club down there.
Right.
And helped out. I was the fundamental coach, which I got from Coach Theophanis.
Gotcha. And watching basketball, no offense to these young players right now, but they could use a little bit more of that, I think.
Yeah.
A little more fundamentals. And
well, it's not a priority.
Right.
Because I mean, we had to hit our books at Sharpers, but basketball was a priority with us.
Right.
We wanted to compete and just to hear the crowd and our following, because we had such great school spirit, man. You couldn't help from playing hard.
Right.
But
well, you mentioned some of the players you played against. I mean, if you didn't play hard, you were going to get beat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. There was, like I say, it was just wood. They had, at that time, the biggest team in the country. Of course, our Washington Addicts.
Right.
Manual was strong. Cathedral. I mean, John Marshall, Arlington.
They were all good. They were all good.
We all played in the summertime.
Right. I think competing against some of those folks myself from the various schools, and I remember Rodney Scott would be by you so fast, but he couldn't even think.
What an athlete. I mean, and that's just one of many.
It was one of many.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those are fond memories that we have. Those are fond memories that we have of the discipline that we received, the good coaching that we received no matter what, and the opportunities to go on in life and to be able to share that legacy with others.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
The great Blue Devil, Oscar Evans.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for being on our show today.
I appreciate it.
It's so good to see you. So good to hear from you.
Yes, sir. It's good to talk about those guys, especially my coach, man. He was special.
Well, that's special
and
because
then another thing,
Go ahead, fire away.
Of course, I'm going into the Hall of Fame on March 22nd. That's Coach Theophanis' birthday.
Congratulations. Now, that is not a coincidence, right? No such thing. No, it's all divinity, and it's all because.
Yes,
well, congratulations.
He's up there smiling
right now on you. And
I forgot one
other thing.
Yes.
This is the great Blue Devil. He gets all the time he needs here, folks.
I got one other thing. Most of us coming up had two coaches. I had a live-in coach. That was my mother. She was at 90% of her games. I'm gonna give you a quick story. Just a quick one.
All right.
We were playing at Short Ridge. No, we was playing in the city tournament. We was playing Wood. Double overtime, we won. I think George had 28 and I had 29, but I missed a free throw. And after the game, we was all happy and stuff. And so, of course, we went over one of the teacher's house. But when I went home, my mother was still up. She said, "Have a seat." She said, "You missed the free throw." Okay.
Okay, we won, right?
She said, "And that third foul, you're supposed to move your feet instead of reach. You're reaching." I said, "Yeah." So I had it pretty good. I had three coaches.
Yeah, three coaches.
That was my secret weapon. I had three coaches. Most of the rest of them didn't have three coaches.
Steered you in the right direction.
But we had Theo. That was our trump card.
Well, congratulations on
Thank you.
the induction to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
That's an amazing thing.
It is.
They can never take it away from you.
Yes,
is the
I
old
mean,
word.
it's. I know when I got the call, I could hardly talk. 'Cause are you serious?
It'll be an exciting night.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
It was really exciting. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
Good to be seen. the great Blue Devil,
That's true.
Oscar Evans, y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is true, man.
Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube. Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube.
Welcome back to Playing for Keeps. We're out here at the Bill Smith Memorial Tournament, IPS teams, and I'm sitting here with the great Mr. Philanthropic. Everybody gets a nickname on my show. Yours just happens to be one that is carried on through to be such a fantastic community leader. One that has had amazing impact on so many people, and I'm talking about the great Clarence Crane. Clarence, welcome to our show.
Thank you, thank you.
This is an unbelievable event right here. You got 4 schools that are remaining in IPS.
IPS, yep.
So you got Tech and Washington and you've got Broad Ripple and Addicts.
not Broad Ripple.
Addicts who were playing at Broad Ripple
At
here.
Broad Ripple, yeah.
Addicts. Then we had somebody from some people from the Blue Devils.
Yes, the Short Ridge Blue
The
Devils.
Short Ridge
That's
Blue
right.
Devils,
That's right. That's right.
and Clarence Crane was a mainstay star of those several teams in the late 60s. Tell us a little bit about that, Clarence, your ball clubs, who you played with and who you played against.
Well, we played. We did. We had some great teams during that time. I had the fortunate experience to play with the Oscar Evans and George Pillow. I was a sophomore with George Pillow, Damon Ellison teams, and then a junior with Oscar and David Holt, and then we Robert Butler and those guys. And then my senior year, we had Greg Allen, Robert Wilson, Kenny Randall, Carl Lyle, George Tandy, all just some pretty good players. And Charlie Jordan actually came as a freshman our senior year,
Right.
and then went on from there. But just a lot of great talent, and of course, led by Coach George Theophanis, who was just an outstanding coach, outstanding person, and then I had the unbelievable opportunity to also play with him, be coached by him at Butler University.
So you went on into some greatness even after those kind of days. You played against some pretty good players too on other teams, not just they're on your own team at Short Ridge, but
That's
a lot
right.
of parity.
Well, the Indianapolis area during that time was just a bedrock of competition. You had Frank Kendricks, Jerry Sears, those guys, the Prices, James Price at Tech. I mean, one of the all-time great city tournament games was, I think, a triple overtime game between Short Ridge and Tech at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And the question was whether or not who was going to have enough players at the end of the game because it was the cramps.
Cramps. Oh, okay.
Cramps were sitting in on a lot of the players during that because we played
two or three games
in a day. So, but the Price's Addicts teams, Wendell Taylor, Sherman Lester, Bug Robinson, just some great players from there. And then, of course, Washington had the great teams with McGinnis and Downing and Wayne Pack and Louis Day and those guys. And that was '69, but we didn't play against the '65 team. That was a state championship team with Ralph Taylor and Billy Keller and Marvin Winkler. And so it was just a bedrock of competition, and that competition not only was during the season, it was year round.
All summer, all the
all
time.
summer long at the Dust Bowls, at the Maplewood Speedway and North Central. Those were two of the big places that we'd always gather
and beat up on each other all year round.
The summer gyms, School 2 summer gym. Was just a bedrock. The Pacers at that time would even play with us. Freddie Lewis and those guys would come down and play with us. So it was, but it was the way we learned the game.
Right.
I had the benefit of learning and following my brother. Whenever the car was moving, I was with him, so I got to play with a lot of the older guys.
Right.
And that helped bridge my game a little bit.
And build your character up and get it on. Speaking of good character, I think Wayne Pack talked a great deal about Coach Theophanis, and the folks around here talk about Coach Smith and People up there talk about Coach Green over in the Washington side. So there becomes a significant opportunity for them to grow up. With great men, teaching great men, and the men become great men.
That's right.
And the great philanthropist has become a great man. Tell us a little bit about your community work and service out here in the Indianapolis area.
Well, community work, and let me go back to one of your coaches here for a minute,
Okay.
and that's one we're honoring today too, and that's Coach Smith.
Yes.
Who I didn't get to really play with Coach Smith, but I also officiated. I officiated high school basketball for 19 years, and that's where Coach Smith and I crossed more than anything else, and we had a little bit of competitiveness on the court.
I bet so.
You know, because Bill didn't let
hold
anything
back.
go. But we had a very great deal of respect for each other. And Bill, every year before the season, would bring we would bring our Fall Creek Officials Association up to his practices and run them through all the rule changes and everything else. So he had a great respect for us at the same time. Then we get back to the philanthropy. It's just that I've just always been in a position, in a position that I would try to help and give back whatever I could, and that went all the way back to kids with Little League and everything else. But I had a guy by the name of Harvey Kelly, who I think you may know, but Harvey and I went to Butler together, and Harvey would get involved in a lot of things. And what I slowly found out that every time Harvey would decide to leave something, which he would touch every little thing and he would go. He wouldn't stay long. But every time he would leave my name.
And you get picked up.
Well, you ought to call him, you ought to call him. So it ended up doing just basically that because, if you live in the community, you should try to be as active in the community as possible. So it goes all the way back. I was on the board of the Urban League. I was on the board of the United Way. Capital campaign for the blind school.
Sure.
And then of course just philanthropy giving as part of life. And then after I did 30 years with General Motors and did some church work and things like that, then I ended up doing about 14 years with Lilly Endowment. And while you're helping to give away the endowment's money, but it's all for philanthropy and helping organizations in the community.
Well, you don't get any higher on the hog, as they say, than the Lilly Endowment in this community here. But it's not all about how much money you have; it's how much you do with the money you do have.
That's right.
And how it is you help others and help another hand up. So the great philanthropist, the great Clarence Crane, heck of a ball player, heck of a man. Great father, great grandfather. Thank you so much for appearing on our show and helping bring some of these other talented people from that era so that other people here might be able to get a chance to appreciate how good it was.
That's good. That's good. We really want to thank you for the comments and we really want to help IPS, through this and using the Smith Memorial as a way to do that would be fine. And this is the first one, and hopefully, as we get more foundation involved into it and more conferences and communications, and we'll pack this place out.
Well, almost everybody here were Hall of Fame, basketball Hall of Famers around here, and they'll have their trophies up there in the Newcastle Hall of Fame.
Right, will do.
Well, thank you so much, my friend, and keep the ball rolling and keep on passing it forward.
We'll keep on doing it because it's time for some of the younger ones to step forward.
As you know, I work with your son, and we'll just have to go. Marcus, you better pay attention to what your dad tells you.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
All right, you brother.
All right, good enough.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.